Hello everyone, I hope you all can hear me well. This is Dennis from Thrillers Global and I'm very sadly alone on how do I best say it, depressing and very dark night for the club and its history mostly. As it's 10:15 here and we're about what 3 hours after the first loss the team has had. In Greek, we call it in eparchia, but outside a big city, outside the big team, in 5 years and 3 months, which is insane, which in turn sets us back, as I'm currently speaking, since Panathinaikos are winning and PAOK, as far as I can see, did win, sets us back 6 points from the top of the table. And we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about. That's why I would have loved a second opinion in here with me, but who knows? Someone may join soon enough. Uh, for now, I'd like to get into the player aspect a bit because even from some people who you expect to bail you out in a game like this, you got some very mediocre to even lackluster performances, to be totally honest. Starting off up top with Stefan Jovetic, who I really don't understand why Carvalhal chose to start him over uh, Fran Navarro, who was one of the very few decent players today. So, yeah, Stefan did nothing memorable, really, as even in the first half where we played surprisingly some of the worst football we've played in the last 3 years, I'd say. We only had one big chance, and that was a classic, quote unquote, Masura Smith. Moving on to him, he seemed kind of out of focus today, to be honest. Missed, as far as I can uh, recall, two big chances, not just one. One in the first half, one in the second. And yeah, not much more to say about him. Now moving on to someone who surprised me, if we can say that surprised me in a bad way, that is Costa. Now Costa, of course, had that big uh, hit on the defender of Lamia. I don't remember who it was. And as far as I can remember, he chipped his tooth and played with a bandage in his mouth to cover the bleeding up. But except from that hit, which of course disrupted his rhythm, I don't know what went wrong with him as well today. Maybe he's fatigued. I remember a clip at the end of the game of him limping around because of how tired he was, how much he had run, and thinking of the few games, but it's still a run of games that Carvalhal has been here. He's played non-stop, so it's expected to be fatigued from a player that basically the whole team relies on at this point, which of course shouldn't happen. Now moving on to a player that was very mediocre today, like didn't do anything specifically badly, but didn't really make the difference we need him to make. and that is Daniel Podence, of course, had one big chance, if I remember. Like, the main problem is that we didn't really have many big chances in this game. And aside that, didn't really do much. Did his part, but with no one basically around you. There's not much you can do as a winger slash 10, whatever his position is with these three switching around. Now on to, for me at least, and something I myself pointed out on Twitter, the biggest problem of today that was the midfield, the duo in the center mids, which were Madi Camara and Santiago Esa, who at least today, and not even today, if you guys think back to a couple of games, they really don't work together well. The spacing isn't really amazing, and it it seems like we're playing. I know them two aren't the exact same player, but even if you look at positioning, sometimes it feels like we're playing two of the same player, and it shows how much the team is lacking a proper number six. And I'll bring the example up that I brought up on Twitter as well, which was a loan that was as big of a mistake of letting go as much as Canos was, in my opinion, again at least. And that was Diadier Samaseko, who, if you remember in the playoffs last year, had very good run of games, like excluding the own goal against Ike. And the difference in the team showed when it finally played with a proper number six. And I think once again it shows how much Mvila is missing from that midfield. Now on to my worst. I don't know. No one really played well, but I'd say on to one of my worst players of the game, very sadly, and that was Rodinei. Out of Rodinei, I think not really many people would disagree with me that we expect the, if not the best, like a better than average performance. And with some people calling him the best right back that's been at the club all time. I think everyone has him at a high standard, but today I don't know. I don't necessarily blame the goal on him. I've seen some people blame the goal on his clearance, but for me it was mostly a centre back problem, which we'll get into that later, of course. But he didn't. He seemed overrun today. He seemed very overrun today, like he had no help in the back. And I don't know, everyone's allowed to have one bad game, but it sadly was a game where everyone was bad. And we needed something out of players like Rodinei. Now, moving on to the most controversial part of the team, I feel like every single game we play, which was the centre back duo of Reg and Doi. It's clear that aside the number six, of course, the easy thing to say for this team is that it does need a centre back, a proper centre back with experience to partner up with Rechos. At least I would partner up a proper centre back with Rechos. Because this duo isn't working. Like they sometimes centre backs, most times, best centre back duos cover each other's flaws. Thinking back to like, I mean, I won't even take it that far. Like thinking back to having Semedo in the back, because it's been clear with sense. the man himself. We've been needing a center back like him in the back. Like even Socrates, like I've said from the start of the season, even like CJ will tell you that I've said that I wouldn't keep Socrates, but I'm starting to massively doubt myself with that statement because I've always been a defender of Doi because it's been clear that he's not a centre back. Like he's always been a defensive midfielder, moved back, but he's nowhere near good enough as a starting centre back for Olympiakos, and I think everyone knows that. I just hope. I mean, it's gonna be a very long January, but I hope we do the right thing. Now on to one of the few shining lights of today, if today can have a shining light, is Francisco Ortega, who at least for me had a very good, like he played around 70 minutes before being subbed off for Omar Richards, but he had a very good game, at least in my opinion, did his job. But as I mentioned with Rodinei as well, you can't really do much when you don't have proper center backs by your side. And now to, I think, easily the only contender for man of the match on our end, which was Pascalakis, which without him, the game may have been the most embarrassing loss in the club's history because counting the double save he made and counting the two line clearances, honestly, probably could have been 4-0. Very, very sadly, probably could have been 4-0 because it feels unreal that Lamia played us out the park today, which is the very sad truth that, especially in the first half, Lamia did play us out the park. So nothing more to say than a thank you to Paschalakis, who, whose situation is very weird with the contract and all, but I just hope he sees out the season in the form he's in, because we clearly need him. Now on to the subs, and I'll immediately go to the fire subject of the subs of Pep Biel. Hope I and every single Olympiakos fan wish a speedy recovery to him. And it's knee injuries always look bad, and seeing the face he made alone, you think it's very bad, which it hopefully isn't an ACL or something. Uh, but at least we can say it's a speedy recovery. The man has just been, as much as I myself have slandered him, the man has just been very unlucky. And uh, that injury, of course, led us to play play with a numerical disadvantage, with BL going out with no subs, which really didn't help our situation. But what can you do? Really, what can you do? The next sub is Sotiris, who, as I said, as I've said many times, both on the show and to the other guys, I've been a massive uh, advocate for, and I still think we should keep him. I know he didn't have a chance to do much today, but you could see that he has that fight in him that he was stuck in as much as he could in the 9 minutes he played. He was almost perfectly accurate with his passing, nearly got a shot off, and can't think back to any major mistakes he made. Uh, no, on a completely opposite opinion of mine, subbing out Muddy for Joao Carvalho, as bad as Muddy was playing today, was a very big mistake for me because I call him Mr. Precision, and there is a reason I call him that because both in the first preseason he was here and in this year's one, he massively overperformed expectations and kept his place in the squad, like especially after last year's loan from Estoril, I think it was. You didn't really expect him to be here to come back, but I don't know. I don't know why he's being used. He was very bad today. Like even in the very little time he had for me, he was very bad today. I don't know. I really don't know what to say with this player anymore. I don't know what to say with half of our players anymore. Moving on to Omar Richards now, who played around 19 minutes. I He showed positive signs again, but it's hard to stay on the positives when you've had a game and a loss like this. That's why I'd want to have a second opinion on here because I'm probably going to be biased on some things or speak out of anger, and I really don't want that. But yeah, he played around 19 minutes, and he was he was okay. He didn't really mess up. He was stuck in there as well, like Sotiri was. But you can't say much more. There are really not many words for this game, and I don't think anyone can stay on the positives. Now, on maybe one of the most unlucky debuts ever, we move on to the man from Porto, Fran Navarro, of course, got subbed on at halftime for a very, very disappointing uh, Jovetic, who will, in my opinion at least, maybe even go in January. There have been a lot of talks about uh, Partizan wanting him back. But yeah, he played a whole half, got stuck in there as much as he could, showed some passion, aggression, was basically perfect with. No, he was perfect with his passes according to stats at least. Got a yellow from a from a foul to stop the play, but sadly couldn't do much more. No one was able enough to feed him the best passes because uh, he's a very talented player, but he's a player that needs someone to find him in the best positions he usually is at. Uh, now, now, to talk about a specific play, of course, which was the missed penalty of Fortunis hitting the crossbar. I'm not going to criticize the man. I'm not going to criticize the man because we should have. First of all, it was a clear penalty. Of course, I do not think anyone disagrees with that. I'm sorry. Uh, but I'm not going to criticize Costa for hitting the crossbar because it happens. It simply does. The man has bailed us out of many, many situations, and we shouldn't expect everything and anything from him, game in, game out. It's just wild. Now, both moving on, but staying on the subject of the game. I've seen many people actually calling for Carvalhal's head again. And I just wanted to express a small rant in this subject per se. And that is that no matter which coach comes, if Carvalhal indeed gets sacked, which just means that we look as unserious as ever, especially the last few years. And I think 7 coaches in 2 years would be a record for the club. Someone, please do correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, but sacking Carvalhal and bringing in, which is wild to me that a lot of people are asking for Jovanovic, would be as big of a mistake as bringing Carvalhal in, because as putting all bias aside, Jovanovic was a very good manager and one of the best in the Super League in general. I mean, he saved Panathinaikos from a proper relegation battle and brought them into title and Europe contenders, of course. No one can come in the middle of the season and with now it being 3 days into the transfer market being open, having no players of your own and save a team. And knowing how we work, he'd just come in again. Not again. Jovanovic would come in. He wouldn't get results. He'd probably get some better results than Carvalhal, of course. But he wouldn't get results, and then he'd be sacked again. Like, that's very sadly how poor the club is managed. It's a joke. A little, let's say, shout out. They don't need it, of course. Zari from G7 International had said, like, we're not in a position to attract anymore. We're not in a position to attract big names, big players, big coaches because we don't offer much anymore. I'd say we don't uh, offer Champions League anymore, which we of course don't offer Champions League anymore. But we won't even offer Europa League as it seems for next season with the European tickets for Greece being less this year for next year, which is insane. Not as insane as being outplayed by Lamia, but it's still insane. So I don't know how easy some people expect things to be. No, I'd have loved to have someone else on here as well, of course. But I am gonna go through the squad and to say some opinions about rumors and stuff for the transfers. Of course, starting off with the main thing that I mentioned before, with us, of course, needing a centre back. And if I'm not mistaken, beside the one I reported on, there is another name from Porto being talked about in the press. Again, I apologize about that. Uh, but I don't really know why. I just don't want it to be like last winter again, where we just rushed everything and just finished the season on a new low because, as it seems, it's just gonna get worse and worse. So we need to take our time. We need to make this January not longer than it already looks like it's gonna be. Now, aside that, a name that's being heard of a lot is Andre Horta from Braga, Braga's captain, if I'm not mistaken again. Uh, which would be an incredible addition on the midfield. I don't necessarily know if he's meant to be a replacement on someone. There are talks about Mati leaving on a free at the end of the season, not really wanting to renew, but of course we take Greek press talks with a grain of salt. But if we indeed manage to bring Andre Horta in, our midfield would go up massively. I don't know. I don't know what to say. We've already gotten rid of major deadwood that went by the name of Gustavo Scarpa. He's back in Brazil. It seems like another man that will go is Ola Solbakken. I don't know where, because as far as I'm aware, he can only either go back to Rome or go play outside of Europe, similar to how Wijo done it, had done last season. Uh, what a case he is, by the way. But yeah, Kini is more than likely gone because he's not even in the squad yet. Ibora is lurking around the bench, but I don't know how much he'll stick around. Ah, never mind. Kini is in the squad. I'm sorry, that's my bad. He's just never featured. But talking about those two, I would of course find somewhere to either sell Kini or let him agree with another team and let him go on a free. His contract is up either way at the end of the season, if I'm not wrong. But I would keep Ibor at least till the end of the season. I would keep Ibor as a rotation option solely because of the experience that he brings to the team. It's around the same reason why, of course, totally not comparable. Mathieu is levels above, but it's around the same reason why I would have renewed Mathieu, at least for another season, solely because of what he brings mentality wise, and of course, because he can build the team out. Uh, like we see him in Cyprus, even though I'm not that familiar with football in Cyprus, I have heard he's doing some very nice things. Chris is the expert on this one that can talk to you about it. But yeah, I I really this squad is too much of a mess, honestly. And like Will said earlier, uh, it surely comes out to poor management, poor transfers, poor everything that goes with it. I just wanna take a look at the squad. Of course, a major talking point once again is Yubel Kabi going to the Copa Africa. So I really don't know what we'll do with the strikers. Uh, given how poor Jovetic was, I don't know if we will go for someone like uh, Andre Silva. Sorry, which of course would instantly give us one of the best, if not the best attacker in the league. Uh, and I don't know what will happen with El Cabi. I haven't heard anything contract-wise because, as I had mentioned, Benji, pretty sure I'm correct on this. His contract is up as well in the summer, which is a situation that, as info comes in from the club, uh, won't be prioritized, at least not this month, as they want to prioritize transfers and sales. Looking at the squad as well, I want to make a point that I I feel like I make every show once again. I really don't know why no managers have given Algasimba a chance. Like, he surely cannot be worse than Stefan Jovetic or El Campi at this point. I'm not gonna put Navarro in that bucket because he just played. But I'd honestly, of course, not on Sunday with Ike, which I will get into. But on a game like today's with Lamia, where we were with our backs against the wall, I'd love to see players like Bain, even Brinic, Ivan Brinic, which he wasn't in the on the bench today. At least I can see him on the bench. I don't know. It was said that Carvalhal was disappointed with how he played the first half last time, but he definitely needs more game time to get back in rhythm again. That's the reason we brought him in. I would hope, and I hope he doesn't turn into another Rusai. Moving on, I I just look at the squad. I look at the midfield, the wingers, and I don't see any game changer, which is a major problem. I don't see any leaders because, of course, Costa is our captain, but people like Villa, people like Socrates, people like, dare I say, Manulas, El Arabi. Uh, I'll touch on the comment in a minute, but it's just sad to see that the team doesn't have any personalities. I'll go back to Will's statement again. It's a bunch of robots. It's staff and players, similar to robots. But yeah, I'll touch on the comment. Uh, I was just talking about that actually. That the first thing that I would do and look after is a proper six, proper number six. The example I will bring up again is Dia Samaseko because S and Kamara uh, are basically the same, play basically in the same position. I would of course bring uh, a centre back to pair with Rechos. And honestly, after today, I'd bring another striker as well. Like, it feels like neither Jovetic nor El Kabi have a place in the squad anymore. Moving on to the defenders. Uh, the only one I really anticipate the comeback of is Doran Leitner, uh, the very talented Israeli left back that tore his ACL coming back from loan on the last game, very sadly. But he's been on the Wonder Kid watch list for a while now. He's been deemed as one of the most talented young left backs in Europe. So, of course, I think everyone that keeps up with the squad is waiting to see him, which, of course, speedy recovery to him as well. Hope he comes back very soon. But aside that, people like Freire, who is hopefully uh, actually gone back to Pumas as it's reported. People like Kini, people like Doi, it feels like they don't fit in the squad. It feels like they were mistakes. Doi is a mistake for being in the defense, of course. Like, I hope you get what I mean. And seeing people like Androchus, it's solely just a very sad story. It's honestly just a very sad story. And the Rutgers and Vrofai still need to get game time, in my opinion. But who am I to judge? Now on to the thing, another thing regarding transfers that's been going around in the past few days is the goalkeeper position. As I said, I would get into that with Paschalakis not being certain to stay at all next season. I've spoken my opinion on that. I've spoken that Jolakis is ready to be our next big thing. Is ready to start game in, game out. But there are talks about him going out on loan to either Union or Copenhagen, which again, don't know how true those are because I haven't heard them from any reliable source really. But I am of the opinion that if we do buy a proper keeper this winter, or if we do loan in a proper keeper this winter, and pair him with Paschalakis and let Jolakis go to get first team football, I think that would be the best decision. So we can go from next season, pre-season, of course, with hopefully not another new coach. Uh, we can go from pre-season onwards with Jolaki as our number one and get a new young number two, or even keep Papadoulis as our number two, even though I've rarely seen the kid play, but I know he's relatively good. Now, to end off, really, because I don't know how far I can drag alive solo. I've already been going around 40 minutes. Uh, I want to talk about the management a bit, which is a very scary subject to talk about, especially live. I'm not gonna complain about what we all know and clearly see. I'm just gonna, I guess, state a question to everyone that will listen to this. How have we let this happen? How have we let this infection, quote unquote, tear our club apart? Like even from, I'll mention uh, the thing that most people have conveniently forgotten about, which is the invasion of the field with Ike last year in the defeat. It just feels like everything is. I don't know how to say it. It's it's like the United situation. As much as I hate that club, it's like the United situation. It feels like it's fans versus owners again. And I'm not gonna be all, as much as I've said this from frustration, I'm not gonna be all Marinakis out because I know that a Greek club without an owner can't survive. Like that's a fact. Even the slightest problems and the club just disappears. But things need to fix up. Like there at least needs to be honesty. There at least needs to be honesty and clarity from the club that no one has given, dare I say, since I've started watching football, which was around 2013. Uh, and I'm just saying, not to go on a tangent here, I'm just saying that Panathinaikos also picked up a victory. So adding to Ajax 3-0 win and PAOK's, I'm pretty sure PAOK won as well. If someone can check, that would be very helpful. Uh, we're alone at fourth, if I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure actually. So yeah, just shows everything. I don't know. I don't know what needs to change. I don't think any fan can go out and say thank you, thank you, Lovic. It was a 4-0 victory for PAOK. God, the team is scary, isn't it? The team is very scary. Like looking at the goal differential, an insane 43 and 11 with two missed penalties from PAOK. Did PAOK miss two? Uh, but yeah, until I get my answer to that, PAOK seem PAOK seem flawless. PAOK really seem flawless. Okay, PAOK missed two. Hope it could have been six again. Okay, PAOK really seem flawless. Like going from Razvan, who I absolutely despise, but is a wonderful coach that can mentally fully control his players to every single cog in the machine that is PAOK Football Club. Like even from the academy players like Costadelias, who is on FIFA's top talents to watch for in 2024, who has interest from Milan, Brighton, Dortmund, half of Europe. Even Kulyarakis, who has interest from Milan himself. Uh, Another comment saying Pauk has football heritage. God, that Mourinho clip, that I will never escape that, will I? Pauk, Pauk is a machine. Pauk is what Pauk is the machine that Ike has built with a proper academy, which is insane. And also, of course, Pauk had uh, the best window out of everyone in the summer. And looks like they're going for very quality moves again. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know if my predictions are changing. Like we're more than likely out if last game didn't prove that this definitely did. Panathinaikos with the sacking of Jovanovic and the appointment of Fatih Terim is more than likely out of the title race as well because, as I mentioned for us, no team can be saved by changing manager mid-season. At least not title-worthy saved. Uh, it's between Pauk and Hayek again, and it's it's weird. It's whoever will be more consistent, honestly. Now, to actually finish off, knowing me, I'm probably gonna go on a tangent again. To actually finish off, gonna talk about the games on Saturday and the game following that, which, if I'm not completely mistaken, is the cup game against Panathinaikos. Now, I can't lie, I was a bit hopeful about Sunday, about the 7th, because I know that we have had a good history with Ike. Like even in some of the bad years we've beaten Ike. But I don't know how we can keep up. Like our only hope can't be Paschalakis again. Surely our only hope can't be Paschalakis again or Paschalakis and Fortounis again. I don't know. I really don't. I only time can tell, honestly. Only time can tell. I don't want to drop a. Do I think if the coach will be sacked if he loses on if he loses on Sunday? Thanks, by the way, for the comments. Love, you're saving me. But I don't know if it's hope that I apologize again. Uh, I don't know if it's hope that wants to say no because we've been since the sacking of uh, Martinez, not Martinez, Martinez uh, last year. We've been unpredictable. I don't know. I'd hope he doesn't. I'd say he doesn't. I don't know what will happen if he loses both derbies, though. That's a different story. I'll say no. I'll stick on no. I'll stick on he stays. He stays unless I think he'll give him like the two derbies and three, four more games. I'll tell you how he gets sacked if he gets embarrassed. If he gets embarrassed by Ike, he's gone. He's gone again. Or same thing with Panathinaikos. If he gets embarrassed by Panathinaikos, I think he's gone again. I'm just scared of who will bring in if you go. Like people are calling for his head, but it's what I it's what I said before. It's, we don't attract big names anymore. Yeah, the Sunday derby is very unpredictable. I don't know. I don't want to jinx it, but since I'll get to that in a second. I don't want to jinx it, but since I want and I have quote unquote to be a bit biased, I will go for a 1-0 victory with probably a Fortunis goal. Or El Arabi if he's back. El Arabi will more than likely score if he's back. But yeah, another comment that says if he gets sacked, will the club as a whole be able to cope with it? I don't think the club as a whole will be able to cope with anything. Uh, I think the club is in too much of a chaotic state right now to be able to cope with another massive change. Like some players' morale is already like dead in the dumps. People don't play. People are on their way out again. People are on their way in again. Like the transfer I've been most excited about in a while is uh, Selson Martins. Like, what will he think? Like, he comes in, he hasn't even played the game, and then the coach that brought him in is out again. Like, what happens then? I don't know. It's a very good question, but I can't answer, sadly. Uh, I didn't play well either. My performance, even though there were three goals, that's my point. There were. Ike is clinical. Ike is very clinical. You'd know that more than anyone. But Ike is very clinical. Even though I mean many fans, like even Ike fans themselves, talk about Garcia Ponce and people like that being non-clinical. Ike is clinical. They create chances and they finish them one way or another. We're not. We aside the two Masura's chances and God, I forgot to mention it. And now it's back in my head again. The Camara miss with the open net is wild. I don't know. I feel like that's a worse miss than the penalty. But yeah, like we miss, we miss a lot. We miss a lot. It's poor management. It's poor everything. Like there is still a lot of time. The only for sure thing is that it's gonna be a very, very, very long January. Uh, both clinical chances and both should have been a goal. Are you talking about the Masora's chances or are you including the Camara miss and the penalty? Because I agree that all four of them should have been a goal. Uh, at least three of them should have been a goal, but the Camara miss and the penalty. Given the Masura's chances, at least his first is. I don't know. I need to check how much our XG was, but while I do that, I'm gonna drop both my predictions, both my final predictions for the games against Ike and Panathinaikos. For Ike, I do think it will be a rough victory, but I think it will be 1-0. Or I don't know. Yeah, games are unpredictable. It can either be 1-0 or we can lose by three. I really don't know. And I'd hope that we'd get it done with concentration in the Panathinaikos game as well, depending also on who plays and if there is rotation, because it's a cup game. I don't know, we'll see. You think another 1-1? I'm really sorry about my chair, by the way. I'm trying to fix it. I'll probably get it replaced. Uh, I don't know. Maybe it's a draw. I think it will either be a scrappy win for us, or if we play like today, we're done. I don't know if there is a possibility for a draw. We'll see. We'll see. Only time will tell. I am coming up on an hour, so I think that's about it for today. Hopefully, someone can join me uh, next time, whenever that is. And I'll finish on a positive note because I'll finish on a note in a quote that Will had used. Uh, but we will be back. Every club goes through its hardships, and it may not be soon, but we will be back. So stick by. Stick by as much as you can, because I know it's hard sometimes. And of course, I have to shout these out. Follow us everywhere at Thrillers Global, literally everywhere. It's Instagram, it's Twitter, it's here, of course. Go listen on Spotify. It's even TikTok now, which I don't run. I don't run TikTok. But if you message us on, you can message and comment Anything you want, by the way, both English and Greek. We are a global community after all. We are trying to grow the red and white. Uh, and hopefully we can grow enough to where we can influence some things like games broadcasting uh, outside of Greece as well. So yeah, as I was saying, you can comment anything, message anything. You'll probably be interacting with me, and I hope this wasn't too boring or too hard to understand. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.